In this video, we're going over 3 reasons not to form an S-corp. You heard right, the biggest fad in taxes, the S-corporation. In this video, we're talking about 3 really important reasons why not to form it. We'll be debunking many myths that are out there. Amanda here, you're watching The Business Finance Coach, where I simplify the tools of business to help you succeed because I believe that the world needs what you have to offer. In this video, we'll be looking at my business types cheat sheet as well as my comparison spreadsheet template. And this is from my Choosing the Best Type of Business to Form course, which I'll tell you a little bit about at the end because I'm running this e-course again live next week. Now let's jump into the 3 reasons you should not form an S-corp. Number 1, you should not form an S-corp if you're already a flow-through entity. What? Let's unpack that statement. A flow-through entity for taxes just means that the business entity, it's a legal term, right? An entity like a human, an entity, a business, doesn't pay its own taxes. Instead, the activity flows through to the owner's tax return. Let's take a look at my business types cheat sheet. Now you can see on the left column, your left column is the legal type of business, and on the right column is the tax type of business. So every business has 2 types, a legal type and then the tax type, and the tax type is based on the legal type. Now, our first 2 options, self-employed and partnership, those are both flow-through entities, like we just described. The only one that isn't a flow-through entity is the corporation. The corporation actually pays its own taxes on its own tax return, whereas flow-throughs do not. All activity ends up on the owner's return, and they pay the taxes. Now, you might be wondering about the LLC. You can see that there. The LLC is a completely disregarded entity, and so the IRS just says, well, how would it have been taxed if it wasn't an LLC? So if there's 2 or more owners called members in the LLC, it would be taxed as a partnership. If there's only 1, self-employed. Therefore, an LLC is a flow-through entity for taxes. We said you should not form an S-corp if you're already a flow-through entity because that's the benefit of the S-corp. We can see at the bottom, the S-corp is just a tax election. With both the partnership and S-corp, the business files a return, and then that tax return, a 1065 for a partnership, an 1120S for an S-corporation, has attached to it versions of the Schedule K-1. And those Schedule K-1s report the business information for each owner. Then each owner gets a Schedule K-1 and enters it on their tax return. So if you are already a flow-through entity, that's a big reason not to elect S-corp status. And we can see this in the steps that it takes to elect S-corp status, which you can check out in another video I have, going over the steps to form an S-corp. To elect S-corp status, you have to first elect to be taxed as a corporation, and then an S-corporation. So it's really evident in the steps that it takes to get taxed as an S-corp anyways. Number 2, not only will forming the S-corporation cost you money, right, because it's an extra step to elect to be taxed as an S-corp, you also have to pay the owners that work in the business as a W-2 employee. And that is a lot of steps. And on top of it, the S-corp isn't going to save you taxes. What? I know. It's a big one. I have a spreadsheet template that allows us to compare your taxes under different business types. I have another video that walks you through the details of this, and of course my course goes into more detail, and that's where you can get this template if you want it. We'll take a peek here at worksheet number 1, self-employed versus the S-corp. And so you can see that there's this self-employed column, and then for the S-corp, we have a business column and an individual column because the business is going to pay self-employment taxes. And that, I think, is where people have long made a mistake that this is somehow saving money because the business is paying half of the taxes. But those are it's your money, right? It's your business. It's not like it's not the same thing. So what we do in this template is you enter your information, and then at the bottom, we're going to add together both of the business taxes, the ones you pay as the owner flow through and that the business pays. And you can see here that in this scenario, which we have some big numbers in here, but in this scenario, the S-corp is paying $1,257 in taxes. And no matter what we change these numbers to, the S-corp is always a few dollars more. And it just has to do with the difference in calculation. But remember, you're also having to take that extra step to form the S-corp, to elect to be taxed. And there's these other, steps that you have to take, which ultimately cost money. So in addition to it not saving any taxes, it actually has extra steps and costs. My course does go over how to do everything DIY. I recommend using a software called Gusto because it takes care of all the steps involved. And that costs money. That costs about $40 to $50 a month. Number 3, this is a big one about the taxes as well, which is that most businesses actually end up paying more taxes in the S-corp because they're taxing their distributions as dividends. And if you've been interested in the S-corp, you've probably heard this. Oh, I can tax my distributions at the dividend tax rate. Well, guess what? Distributions are not taxed at all if they're a return of your basis. They only are taxed at the dividend tax rate when you exceed your basis in the business. And most likely you haven't exceeded your basis in the business because your basis is something that every owner needs to keep track of. It's increased by all the money you put into the business plus your share of the net business income each year. And so basis is just a check to prevent people from moving stuff around and evading taxes between multiple people. And if you're not doing that, then most of the distributions you take out of the business should not be taxed. And so if your tax preparer is taxing them at the preferential dividend rate, you're actually paying extra taxes. Now, basis is a complex area. Every owner in a business should be tracking their own basis. What's tracked from the business's standpoint is a little bit different, but this is a huge topic. I have other videos going over it on YouTube. Plus, I have an entire course and template about this as well. And this is something you need to keep track of in any separate business from an owner, any business other than a sole proprietor. But it becomes more important when there's 2 or more owners, and it becomes even more important when you get into the S-corp for this reason. Now, the dividend preferential rate, like I said, is not any difference to a partnership. So you do the same thing in a partnership business. And so because of this confusing area, maybe don't form the S-corp because so many people are confused by it and paying those extra dividend tax rates. So there's no need to feel like you're missing out. And that really brings us to how on earth did this happen, Amanda? Why is everyone talking about the S-corp being this beneficial thing if you're sitting here telling me it's not? Well, first of all, before you freak out in the comments, be sure to check out my other videos. I have another video that goes into detail about the comparison in this spreadsheet template so that you can really understand the calculation more. I have videos talking about forming the S-corp, and I even help you with the steps if you are an S-corp and you want to calculate reasonable compensation and pay yourself. I help you with all of this stuff, but I'm going to tell you honestly what happened. And I really think that it was kind of an accident. Tax professionals' jobs are to do the taxes. That's what most of them spend the majority of their time doing. And really, I think, business owners want a tax benefit. They want something, right? You feel like you can tell me, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, but so many people I talk to, they feel like they're missing out on something and they feel like they need to take extra steps to get the benefit and the tax benefits of a separate business. Now, this is not true. You get to deduct all expenses the exact same in every type of business. from self-employed to corporation to nonprofit. There is no difference in the deductions you get to take. It's really about which type of business is best for me right now at this stage in my business. And that's pretty much all for the 3 reasons why not to form the S-corp. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Again, before you crucify me, be sure to check out the other videos. I'm launching my course, The Best Type of Business to Form, next week. We'll be going through it live. There is already an e-course that you would get access to if you're interested in signing up to this really affordable course I'm running live next week. What we'll be adding to the course this time around is a corporate comparison from TaxWise, but also really taking a bigger look at how you can use these structures to achieve a mission. If, most business owners I talk to, they have big ideas and big dreams and bigger things they want to do than just their current business. So yes, we will totally be covering, should you be an LLC, should you be this or that, and how to choose right now based on your type of business. But we'll also be talking about those bigger projects and movements and ideas that you have and things you want to do so that you feel empowered to actually create those things, and so that you can see the opportunity in the structures that we have in our democracy, in our free country, to actually create something really big that creates change. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely check out the links below. I hope to see you there. Check out the other videos in this series if you have an S-corp or you're interested in one. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking, where you're at. Share this with someone who needs it, or give it a like if you enjoyed it so that YouTube knows. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.